In this tutorial, we're going to talk about why it's important to test your ideas with end users, potential customers, and how we might do that. So when you're starting a new venture or a new innovation, you can either start with the technology that you'd like to use, or you can start with the human need. But it's important that humans, or that you understand humans, feature somewhere in your organization or your designs. Whilst technology can offer lots of opportunities to understand what people could do, it's only really by talking to people and observing them that you understand what they really would do when it comes to your innovations. And that can be the difference between success and failure. You need to make sure that people are using your work in a way that you've actually intended them to. Too often organisations leave talking to their end users too late. What you ideally want to do is try to uncover any potential problems as soon as you possibly can. And then as soon as it's viable to, prototype your ideas, get user feedback, and start understanding what people's reactions and behaviours might be. Doing this ensures that you've got the best chance of getting an effective idea using the most efficient use of resources. So there are many different ways to research the validity of an idea with your users. You can use interviews, you can use interactive workshops, or you can send out surveys. You can also combine different methods to balance up the quality and the quantity of your research to make sure that you're using your resources in the best way that you can. For example, you could use phone calls, which don't take very long, but you get less quality information. Whereas if you do one-to-one interviews with people, you'll get more information and really understand what they mean, but it takes a little bit longer to do. You've really got to understand the biases that you enter into your research as well. So there's no method that's perfect. All of the methods that you could possibly use have different strengths and weaknesses. But you need to use at least 2 or 3 different methodologies so that you can compensate for the weaknesses and biases of the different methods you have. So where you find an overlap between the different methods, you know that you have robust insights from research. So all of the people that you might test your product or idea with have their own agendas and different capabilities that they're going to bring into your research. You need to try and find a range or a sample, representative sample of users to test with. Try to be inclusive as you possibly can as well. So if you can test with both novices and experts and satisfy those needs, you're more than likely to be able to satisfy all of the needs of people in between as well. So to validate your ideas and innovations in the marketplace, you need to have both qualitative and quantitative research methodologies that you use. You might, for example, send out surveys, but that's only going to tell you what X percentage of people really think about your idea and what their opinion is of it. To understand why they have that opinion, you really have to go towards qualitative research, do one-to-one interviews, and observe people as well as talk to them. So in order to do that, you might think that is really time consuming, but it's not going to take up as many resources as you might think. You only need to talk to 5 users to get about 85% of user needs. So the first questions you want to ask are around understanding who it is that you're interviewing. You want to try and make them feel as comfortable as possible in your interview. And don't try to ask leading questions as well, where you might influence their answer. So for example, don't ask them if they think satellite data is useful. You might instead try to ask more open questions like, what data would you use, or what data do you find useful in your current position, or maybe for this application? If you're testing a prototype, you want to try to give your users a scenario to immerse themselves in, and then give them a task to do within that scenario. So for example, if you were looking at online shopping, you might ask them to browse the online shop and then make a purchase. When you're testing them, you want them to think out loud. So they should be verbalizing everything that they do. And then just listen and observe to their actions and the way that they use the website. And when you're testing a prototype, you want to try and avoid words that might appear in that prototype as well. So for example, If you have a contact page, you want to avoid asking people to work out how to contact you, because that would influence them and bias the interview results. The first thing you need to do if you're trying to validate your research using surveys is to, first of all, try to test those surveys on a smaller sample of potential users. You need to ensure that the interpretation that those users have of the wording and the phrasing is correct. And also, not everybody fits into the same options that you present on the form. They're not always all relevant. And sometimes you need extra options as well. The ultimate answer is that if you want to get the right results in a survey, then you need to provide the right options. So how you use your results from your research depends on the techniques that you're using during your research, the stage you're at during the process of development, and the kind of feedback that you get from your users. The next steps might be more development, or it might be that you're looking to understand what features you need to prioritize as you move forwards. Once you're at the point of understanding what essential features you need as a part of your product in order for a user to get value from it, then you can start moving on to your minimum viable product. But research, it shouldn't just be one thing that you do in one part of the process as one phase of your startup journey. It should be something that you embed into your organization. It should be something that you really make a fundamental part of every decision-making cycle that you go through as you develop your product and try to improve it. You should always be putting people at the center of your organization and the way that it works. And helping that will not only help you get ahead, but it will help you stay ahead as well. It will help you to implement new changes and improvements, but without complicating the product by adding too many features. So if I could give one tip to anybody entering this competition as to how they should be doing user research and validating their ideas, it would be really to try to step into your customers' shoes, to really have empathy for them, the way that they use a product and what they want to get out of it. Doing that at a really early stage will help give you direction to your purpose, to your product and to your ideas, and to make sure that you're using your resources as effectively as possible.